So welcome to Asheville of Mine. Hope everybody enjoyed their holidays, staying safe, didn't do too much traveling, we got COVID out here. But anyways, speaking of traveling, to get into is the 5 things I look at that's most important when it comes to traveling. Traveling with a disability could have its roadblocks. I'm not saying it's gonna make your trip the worst, but in order to make it the best, I think you should follow these 5 things right here. So we're gonna get right into it, okay? So the number one thing you wanna do is always plan ahead. If you don't plan ahead, you're gonna hit a lot of things like the trip might cost too much, finding the right exclusion might cost too much. Like I said, ticket prices on airplanes, that shoots right up. And try to pick the best airline that fits your need, because you just trying to go the cheap route does not always work for somebody with a disability. So if you do want to go and make your trip inexpensive, try to plan at least 3 months ahead of time. Always make accommodations when you travel, like what airlines, hotels, even if you're not staying at a hotel, like whoever's house you're gonna stay at, make sure it's accessible. I'm not saying everybody might not need those accommodations who are traveling with mobility devices, but just in case, like if you have a power chair, or you might have a manual chair, whatever the case is. There's a difference between traveling with a manual chair and a power chair. With a manual chair, you could break down the chair and put it in a car. With a power chair, you cannot do that, so you need either a van. So make sure wherever you go, you traveling, and that you can get around, or you're comfortable. So like even when you're traveling with airlines, make sure that you always, when you let them know that you're traveling with a wheelchair, they have wheelchair assistance to help you get through the gate, because when you get to the gate, you're gonna deal with a lot of stuff with checking your chair. Also going on the plane as well, you have an aisle seat, which is if you can't walk to your seat, they have this small seat to bring you down the aisle. Also, when it comes to hotels, make sure whatever room you get is accessible as well. They do have accessible rooms, so don't feel like there's no accessible rooms to fit your needs. They have hotels that might have a shower bench, so you could sit in the shower, which could be a roll-in shower, or it could be a tub. I mean, for myself, I prefer the roll-in shower because it's easier for me to transfer from my chair onto the seat instead of me going climbing into the tub, over the tub. So things like that, be mindful of. Or even on the amenities on the hotel. When you want to go in the pool, some pools might have the lift where you could get in the pool. Like making accommodations could be also when you want to do exclusion. Also, what you want to do is when you're traveling, to research your destination. A lot of the times, within the United States, you might be able to find paratransit services that you can make arrangements to go to different places, as long as you make it a day ahead of time. For example, in New York, we have Access-a-Ride. And when you go to other places within the United States, you're able to transfer your services over from wherever you live at, wherever city you live in, to the city that you're traveling to as a visitor. So keep in mind, when you're traveling internationally, you might not have those same services. You have to be able to do your research to see if you're able to get around there, because you might not be able to use things like Uber or Lyft, because a lot of the times, for some people, like if you have a power chair, you may, or you have medical equipment that's big, you may not be able to bring that in the vehicle. The vehicle may not be accessible for you. Like I said, it depends on what equipment you're traveling. If you're traveling with a manual chair and you're able to transfer, then it would be fine. But for somebody who may be in a power chair, you need a accessible van with a ramp or a lift to get in that vehicle. So you have to do your research with the transportation over in that place, or what type of access they have when it comes to ADA. Because some countries do not even have an ADA law where it's required for them to, have stuff for disabled people. Also, when you need to really do your research too, a lot of the times when you're going somewhere, keep in mind that they might charge you more if they do have the service of like a wheelchair accessible vehicle, because since there's not a lot of people that may use it, or there's a lot of tourists that may who require it, and they might not have that much knowledge of the cost, they're gonna try to really dig in your pockets, because they see that you're really in need and you have no other options. They're gonna make you pay more money than someone traveling without those needed services would. So you gotta keep that in mind too, that they overcharge in other places because of your disability. Well, that's like any tourist, that even when you come to New York City, you see how when people go to Times Square, they travel, they buy whatever they can in Manhattan, but you're not gonna go to the Bronx or the spots where it's really cheap at. They're gonna go to Manhattan because it's easier, but that's the spot where you have to pay more money. So look at it that way. So do your research. When I say advocate for your equipment, like, it's the last thing that you have on earth, because nobody's gonna love you or take care of you like your medical equipment. That's your legs, that's your air, you need that. So you make sure whenever you go somewhere, you keep in mind to tell whoever's handling your devices to care for it and make sure there's no damage to it. You're traveling on a plane, you're not sitting in your chair. Your plane is going through the most. It's traveling through. You have somebody that brings your chair to under the plane. You don't know what's going on with your chair. And then when you get your chair back, it might not be fully intact. So if something's wrong, make sure you always report to your airline that your chair was damaged. Okay, don't let it just, because a lot of times, you know how much it costs to get these chairs fixed or get stuff replaced with whatever type of device you have. So keep that in mind. It's not theirs, they're not going to take care of it like it's theirs. Man, it was just the other day. Bought my chair back looking like Transformers. Yeah. I know I didn't give them my chair looking like that. And the last thing I wanted to keep in mind is prepare for the worst, but just make the best of it. Because a lot of times you might make all these preparations and it still not might go as planned. So try to, go around it, have fun, just do what you can do. Even when you get there, wherever you go to, there's always something to do. Even if you have to just roll around down the block, enjoy the view, enjoy that you're eating, that you having a drink, that you're somewhere else, and that you somewhere far from wherever you came from. Like I said, it's Ash Willamine. Thank you or join if you have any questions that you may want to ask when it comes to traveling in a wheelchair or, etc. Feel free to comment below, share, like, comment. Thank you. See, I'm chilling in the sun, so fight those fears and act like you don't care.